Hey everybody, Eric here with the latest installment in my series on F. Paul Wilson's Secret History of the World. And we have moved away from Repairman Jack for a short time. This time, we're talking about the Fifth Harmonic, obviously by F. Paul Wilson, since that's the series we're doing. As usual, I'll review the book and then get into possibly spoilery stuff, talk about where it fits in to the whole series and all that good stuff. Um, but as I said, I'll start with a review. So basically, what we have here is Dr. Will Burley. I looked up how to pronounce the name, so hopefully that's correct. Um, as I said, he's a doctor. He has a tumor. He refuses to accept what's necessary from the medical community to save his life. And so he is, despite being a very logical person, he seeks out unconventional methods to try and save his own life. And so he goes to this healer, meets this woman named Maya, and after, he expects she's going to be a charlatan, try to rip him off, blah, 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 but things don't go quite as he expected. And eventually, after some things, he agrees to her terms and what needs to be done to potentially heal him. And he kind of feels, yeah, it's not actually going to do anything, but I'll have an adventure in the last days of my life. And so they go to Mesoamerica and things happen. Well, first of all, it's written by F. Paul Wilson, so it's well written. I mean, that's a given. I have yet to come across anything of his that's not a well written story. The characters are interesting. I definitely see myself in Dr. Burley because I do not believe in anything except Cthulhu. Um, and I want evidence. I want demonstrable scientific evidence for something. If it's not what is it? Repeatable, verifiable, something else I can't remember. Then I'm not going to believe it. So I definitely, as I said, I see myself in this character, but I'm an empathetic reader. I don't project my beliefs or anything into the stories I read. Obviously, I read tons and tons and tons of things with supernatural elements and monsters and plenty of stuff that I do not believe in, but I can immerse myself in it. And so I found this book to be very immersive. It pulled me in, um, and I was reminded of movies such as the Indiana Jones movies, the Mummy, Brendan Fraser Mummy movie, the first one at least. Never seen the third one. Or Romancing the Stone, just for that sort of rollicking adventure feel. What I found interesting, I don't think this is a spoiler. There are no bad guys in this story. The antagonists would be the tumor, time, and nature. But this isn't, which is kind of why all those movies I mentioned aren't perfect examples of what this is, because they all have very clear bad guys. But it was more the adventure, the adventuresomeness, adventure quality of those movies. Because we get that he gets down to Mesoamerica and is fighting the elements, and there's not quite death traps, but deadly tests, I suppose. Um, he has to complete certain tasks for Maya to be able to help him, and I don't think this is a spoiler. Basically, she says that he needs to reach the fifth harmonic, and because he's a person like me, he's very scientific, logical. She needs to break down his barriers. She needs to be able to open his third eye, essentially, which is blind. And so there are mystical elements to this book. It is not a book grounded in science, although one could argue. I will point out, let me go to the back here, that this is from, and I should have mentioned this is from Hampton Roads Publishing, and in the back, it does say, Hampton Roads Publishing Company publishes books on a variety of subjects, including metaphysics, health, visionary fiction, and other related topics. And at the top of the page, it says Hampton Roads Publishing Company for the Evolving Human Spirit. And that very much sums up the feeling of this book. But I liked it. It's, like I said, it's an adventure. I like the characters. I like Maya. They meet another guy once they get to Mesoamerica. There's this character, Ambrosia, who's a lot of fun. And again, no bad guys. The conflict all comes from the tumor that's killing Dr. Burley, the limited amount of time that he has left to complete this adventure, and then nature itself. There are some wonderful scenes. There's he gets caught in a huge storm when he's out in the jungle, and what happens in that scene is I really enjoyed. It was really, really cool. And the tests that he has to go through are interesting and exciting and scary. So it's really good. I gave it 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, for those of you who like to know star ratings. Because I really liked it. It's good stuff. I recommend it. But it is definitely has a very new age feel to it. Just for those of you, I have nothing against that in my fiction or from people. People can do what they want. I just choose not to believe this stuff. Although, well, we're not going to get into these discussions about energy and things. Anyway, all right, so that's it. That's 4 out of 5 stars. The Fifth Harmonic, F. Paul Wilson. Recommended. Fun read. Good book. Great adventure story. Let's get into the deeper secret history. So I'm going to my trusty copy of Signals, which is the most updated list of these books that I have. And so, the last thing that I read in this series was Bloodline, a Repairman Jack book, which took place in April of year 0-1, and the Fifth Harmonic takes place in April of year 0-1. So exact same time as Bloodline, according to the timeline in the back of Signals. I don't know. F. Paul Wilson has gone and updated some of his books. This seems to be from 2003. This seems to be a first copy. I don't see anything saying it's a different edition. So I don't know if there are newer editions that have maybe updated some things in here to bring it closer to the modern day. As I said, he has gone through, especially super old stuff, since all of this entire, well, I say this entire thing. We have the past, but then the majority of books and stories take place within 3 years. And so things like The Tomb had to be updated to add cell phones and things. So I don't know if... I'm trying to remember if there's anything in here that really dates it. He has a laptop. I'm trying to remember if there are cell phones or not. What kind? I don't know. But anyway, not that it matters. So it takes place April, year 0-1, which means it is barely a year before the end of the world as we know it. And as far as how it connects, there's the whole metaphysicalness of it, the supernatural, for lack of a better term, elements to it. But I did not see any direct connection to anything else at this point. Now, Maya does say, this is where we're getting a little bit of spoilery, although it's pretty early on, does say she feels she was guided to a place where she would meet Dr. Burley so that she could heal him, because the universe, or Mother Gaia, wants him around, needs him for something. So I'm guessing, because this is part of the secret history, that he is a character that is going to come back. I don't know when, I don't know where, but again, because it's listed in here as part of the secret history of the world, that's the assumption that I'm making, that he's maybe in the very last book, Night World, he'll be back. Maybe before that. We've got The Touch coming up, which is about somebody who can heal with it, with a touch. And I actually had to check and see if it was the same character. It is not. So yeah, at this point, I'm not sure how it's going to tie in. Where, if Dr. Burley, Maya, any of these other characters are going to come back. But, of course, I'll find out eventually, because I'm going to read all of it. That's it. I think that's all I've got. Again, there's nothing else for me to tie it into. I can't say, oh yeah, this ties into this book that I've already read and this, because there is none of that at this point for me. But I'm interested in finding out how it all is going to come together. All right, that's it. That's kind of a short one, I think, for this series. I don't know. I haven't gone back and looked at how long these videos normally are. But there you go, the Fifth Harmonic, F. Paul Wilson. You know what? Let's grab the phone and see what the... I don't think I need to see what the next one is. I'm pretty sure that it is Panacea. Is that how you say that? It is. So it is a another one that's not a Repairman Jack. There, I just updated. I have this list on my phone of, you can't see that. There's a list of all the books that I'm reading in this series, and I put a little asterisk next to the ones I've finished. So Panacea is the next one, which I believe is part of its own little trilogy within the grander scheme of things. And I'm going to try, I don't know if I've said this before, try to read them a little more quickly, cycle them into everything else I'm reading a little more quickly, or this is going to take forever to finish this. And it's a finite number of books. All right, there you have it. The Fifth Harmonic. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is ErikSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. That's all I've got for you this time. So until next time, read more books.